Hello, hello, hello. Hope you're all well, Zofa. Welcome. I hope you're good. Right. It's going to be a much less talkative day today. But I have realized that I need to start switching a few things over. And I've realized that I'm also have made my life a little difficult. As I completely forgot these were a thing and we could really do with them for certain things. The large fractionating distilleries. One of the reasons we need those is I've realized today that we are very, very short on distilled water. We were actually running out earlier. As we were processing all the ores, we were actually running out. So I think for now, I'm just going to turn this to an LUV energy hatch. Which thankfully we have. And then hopefully that'll get us enough for the time being. We might need to expand this to something that can parallelize later as well. We shall see. Yeah, hopefully that will get us plenty of distilled water now, at least. Right, one of the big things I want to do today, I did do a few things off stream. Mostly it was crafting 9 more of these energy modules. And that is because I want to move the energy, I want to move the substation today. I figure we probably want to put this over by the actual power gen. So I kind of want to move that and put it just like right in the center of here. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to stop transferring power since everything is going to be close together and it's kind of in its final place now. I want to stop transferring power from the generators to the substation using energy peer-to-peers. Because while it's not too bad, I am realizing that when we do that, we're basically not having a 5% energy tax. We're technically having a 10% energy tax because we're getting taxed on the energy transfer from here to the substation and then from the substation to wherever it's going. So we kind of want to remove part of that to get it down to the 5%. And the other thing is that when these are running, like all the power we're generating is getting taxed. So like the 9-10 million or so EU per tick is getting taxed and it's using considerably more power than we need to since everything is so close together now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything from these. We're going to basically take all the peer-to-peer outputs and we're going to start running it into a new substation. We're going to transfer basically over from the old one to the new one. I don't know how well that's going to go. I also don't know if the capacitors hold their power when they're broken. I don't know if those will hold their power when they're broken. I would guess not, but I don't know. Anyway, we're going to make another substation, and then what we're going to do is basically just going to have the 264 amp ZPM inputs onto it, which we're going to steal from the other one. We're not going to craft 2 more. But we're going to have the 264 amp ZPM inputs on them, and then basically we're going to run one of the ZPM superconductors, the uranium rhodium dinaquidide wire one, because that can handle up to 128 amps. We're going to run that into there, and then we're basically going to be using lower amperage cables to transfer from the generators into this cable and then into the substation. Using 3.4 million EU per tick. That's quite a bit. Yeah, well, our power is basically sorted. We've got 24 Nakoda reactors. But I just want to basically stop transferring the power from the generators to the substation using peer-to-peer. I want to do that via superconductors instead. just so we don't have to worry about that extra power cost. Because at least when we're transferring out of the substation, we're only getting taxed on what we're actually using. Whereas when we're transferring into the substation, it's getting taxed on everything. So I was just testing. I was testing in a creative world. I was outputting like 64 amps of LUV, and inputting. I think it was inputting like 76 amps and outputting 64. And on it was out using roughly like roughly just under 3 million, I think, EU per tick. When we were using peer-to-peers, and around about 1.6 million. A little under 1.6 million when we weren't using the peer-to-peers to transfer into the substation. So we're going to switch it over, basically. It's going to mean a lot of crafting of stuff, and crafting a new substation as well, because it's going to be easier. And I don't want to be left with no power. $96 ECEs. That's a lot of ECEs. That is a hell of a lot of ECEs. I mean, we got 24. But 96 ECEs, that's what? 32,768 on each. $3.1 million. 5% of that. 157,286. That's 19.2 amps of IV. That's quite a bit. Right, what else do we need for the substation? I can't actually remember. Maintenance hatch, of course. Are they steam dynamos? GG. You're losing power on your substation. I'm not surprised if you're using 3.4 million. I mean, considering the 96 ECEs would only be 3.1. Anyway. What do we need? We need a bunch of laminating glass. We need a bunch of the palladium substations. I can't remember how many we needed. Alright, let's do that. 48 for now. And we're going to need... I might have to do one extra ZPM output hatch. A 64 amp output, dynamo hatch rather. Just so we've got some output when we set this up. Hey, Guitar Lilin. How you doing? Oh, was it laminated glass we need for this, right? Yeah. Not sure how much we need, but we'll end up needing laminated glass for other stuff. It depends on how you've got things set up. The reason I was okay with using it before was, A, we were making more than enough power to cover it, and we're still making more than enough power to cover it. But now that everything is in its kind of final location, it's a lot easier to set up inputs into the substation from here, and then not have to mess around moving cabling around and stuff later on. Like, now that it's in the location it's going to be staying at permanently, there's no point in paying that extra 5% tax when we don't have to. Okay, feeling the day after even without alcohol? Welcome to getting older, Guitar Lilin. It's not a fun experience. So that is the center block. That's 5x5, right? Yeah, it should be 5x5. So substation goes there. This is going to be an awkward transition over to this, I think. Right, what are we actually waiting on for? Naquader alloy plates and Naquader alloy. Again, that's one of the things that we should be able to passive easily enough now. The one thing I've got to figure out before I do anything else is how we're actually going to how we're actually going to do the cabling for this. Wait, oh, we need that, don't I? Okay, yeah, it's just pretty much what I thought. Right, I do need the tier 2. I need 9 of those. So basically what we're going to have to do is each of these is 3 amps of ZPM. So if we basically run an 8 amp cable down there, 8 amp cable down there, this will be what? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 36 on each side. Oh, that's actually really awkward. Why did it have to be a 36 amps? Why couldn't we have just been kind of nice and even up to kind of 32 amps on each side? Because now we can't run any kind of 32 amp cable. Is there even a 32 amp cable? Yeah, there is a 32 amp, but we can't run that one. So what we're going to have to do is probably just use the uranium rhodium dinaquidide wire. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to put... How do I want to do this? Where do I actually want to put the inputs? Because what I'd like to do is have a single 64 amp, well, 128 amp cable running down under the sensor and then over to here. And then what we'll do is we'll bring everything down from there, run it into the sensor to connect up to that 64 amp, or sorry, 128 amp cable. And we'll run that, and then we'll run that over to one of these sides, probably this one. Not that it makes much difference. And then we'll do the input hatches in there. Right, one thing we are going to need to do, though, is make a bunch of the uranium rhodium dinaquidides wire. 16x, both 16x and 8x ones. And also just the 1x ones, actually. Since those can take 8 amps of ZPM, we can just use the 1x cables from there down to connect up to the bottom. That should work. But we are going to need a bunch of this no matter what. So if I just start... Can we do 256? Nope, we're missing uranium dust. Okay, let's go and sort that out. Should be some over here, or at least some uranium. Yeah. Which uranium? It's just the 238 dust we need, isn't it? Yeah, it's just 238. So we should be able to take a bunch of this and macerate it. I think what I'm going to have to do is make this visible to the rest of the network. At least the uranium-238. That way we can just take that and macerate. Can we get the uranium dust any other way? Just out of curiosity. I got a tiny chance of it with red granite. Oh, right, yeah, we were getting it from the depleted uranium hexafluoride, but then we've been just turning that straight into ingots because we needed that for making the fuels. So yeah, looks like just macerating of that stuff. Do I even have a multi-block macerator at this point? I don't think I do. I think I'm still using a single block. One of the ones we haven't switched over yet. Yeah. We're still using an HV macerator. We'll have to fix that later. Or at least make it slightly faster now. But I will need to do the multi-block later on. Right, that'll at least be a little bit quicker until we get the multi-block set up. Right, okay. So, we don't need that, we don't need that. It takes 64 of it as well, which isn't too bad. Right, okay, while that is crafting, which is probably going to take a while. Did I set that to auto output? Yeah, I did. Okay. Right, we're going to need some recipes for uranium rhodium dinacridide. Oh. We've only got the 2XYs at the moment, which is, of all of them, pretty much the only one we don't need. The uranium rhodium dinacridide, and then... Wait, no, we don't need the 32 amp ones. We don't need the 4X, we just need the 8X and the 16X ones. No, we'll do these in individual ones, I think. Alright, so we've got 1X cables. That's what? The 8X and 16X. Right, while that is crafting those, and we're probably going to need more of them, let's go and do a little bit of planning. Where stuff's going to go. So we need maintenance hatch on there. There will be, we'll probably... this is going to be an awkward transition. Because I'm not going to have all of the outputs to start with. They're just not going to be there. Do I just want to remake all of the 64 amp substation hatches? I guess I can just melt down the other ones. So if we just do 164 amp, one for each of the other ones. We've got the ZPM one. Is that, wait, that's the, yeah, that's the substation dynamo hatch. Oh, I need the energy hatches. No, the energy hatches we can just copy over. But we need an EV one, we need an IV one, and we need an LUV one. Might take a little while. If we set like EV, IV, LUV, and then ZPM will go here. Those will be... wait, no, they're the outputs. They need to go... I think we were going to go... I was going to do the outputs on... actually, let's do the inputs on this side, outputs on this side. Hey, Wolfie. How's it going? Eventually there will be 4 layers on here once we move everything over. Oh, I've just realized this is going to be kind of awkward, isn't it? Because we're going to have the 2 ZPM layers and then the IV layers on top of it, which... it's going to bug me. But not too much we can do about it at the moment. Anyway, right. We've got the IV and we've got the EV. EV, IV, which is waiting on the LUV, and that will give us the outputs. We're going to have to get all the cabling in first before we do this. Before we actually start switching stuff over, just so we know where everything's going. I think we're going to have to wait until this has filled up before we actually kind of disconnect anything. Notlegs, how you doing? Right, so let's have a look underneath here and where stuff's actually going to go. We do know that covered cable is still going to go at this height. So we're going to have to run the superconductors underneath here. So that's going to run over there. And then it's going to need to go up to there for the redstone peer-to-peer stuff. Do I want to do the outputs for this underneath, or do I want to do them visible at the top? I think I think I'd prefer to have them visible. So we'd want to bring this up. And probably around there. Okay, and let's figure out where the cabling's going to go and how much we're going to need of it. So this is the two inputs, 64 amp inputs are going to go into there. So I think we want to bring this into the center. This will be the 128 amp cable. We probably don't need it going all the way down, but especially given that it's going to cost a lot of the rhodium, was it rhodium plate? Why can I never remember what this is? Uranium rhodium dinaquidide. That's going to come over there, and then from all of these, basically we'll bring a cable down through the floor, like there, 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 and there, and we'll do the same on both sides. And that will come down. That will be like 1x. Actually, there would need to be something slightly different on these, wouldn't they? That would come down there, and then you'd have the 32 amp cable. Although, again, we might need that. I'm going to need to do the maths for this side, aren't I? Because these are all LUV dynamo. Oh, these are... Oh, that's awkward. So they're IV outputs. These are LUV outputs. We should be able to do them all with LUV cabling anyway, right? That shouldn't make a difference. But for each row of these, that is 1 amp of LUV. That's 1 amp of LUV. I don't think there's much point in using anything else besides like on voltage cabling though. Just because it's relatively cheap to do the lower tier ones. I am definitely going to need more uranium rhodium dinaquidide though. I'm going to start another 256 of that crafting. Right, so that is 1 amp of LUV. So if we keep these as LUV, I could probably do the LUV dynamo hatches in these as well, because those two, and I think the 6 on that side are all IV outputs. If we change them to LUV ones, that would be... Each one would be 1 amp of LUV. So if we used... So in each one of those rows, there'd be 12 amps of LUV on each side of this. Hey, Reese. Or 24 amps of LUV in total. Trying to think of the best way to do the cabling for this. It's okay, Reese. How do I want to do this? I guess we could just use the 1x indium tin barium cuprate wires. Although that being said, if we use... We could do signalum. And then 2x signalum cables running from top to bottom. Like from there down to there. Yeah, 2x signalum cables running from down to there. And then it would be what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 12, 14? Wait, no. 2, 4, 6, 8... 10, 12, yeah, 12 amps, and then there's a 16 amp across there to go into the 128 amp uranium rhodium dinaquidide wire. And that should do. And then we'll have 2 of those running into there. That should be fine, I think. There's never going to be any situation where it's going to try and push power into those, I don't think. I hope. I don't know, we'll find out. If stuff burns or blows up, we'll know I fucked up. What are we waiting on for that LUV? 64 amp. Oh, the osmiridium. The osmiridium's going to have to wait for the uranium rhodium dinaquidide stuff. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so what we do know, 1 amp cables down from here. We are going to have to run them out by a block and down into this bit, though, I think. Because we still need to run this cable along here for the output bus. Although I guess we could move that as well. And we could run that underneath. Is this project now? Don't start rebuilding the entire base. That is good advice. If we do that, and then we rotate these down, we then don't need to worry about this later, and we're going to do the same underneath here. And then we can just run the cable straight down. If anybody who wasn't here before, by the way, what we're doing at the moment is just reorganizing how we do certain... basically, they're reorganizing the cabling from the power generation to the substation, where we do the power storage. And we're just trying to reorganize it in such a way that we don't have to use peer-to-peers from generators to substation. So we're just in the process of figuring out what we're going to do cabling-wise to get it into here. So, how many of these are we going to need? These are going to be the uranium rhodium dinaquidide 16X one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. Okay, that's a lot of uranium rhodium dinaquidide. Bearing in mind, each one of those cables, I think, is 8 ingots. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing that I added more on. Do I, strictly speaking, need all of that there, though? Is there a better way I can handle that? Because we're not going to have it all going into there. I think we should probably figure out a better way of handling this, where we don't have to use the 16X cable all the way down here, because that's just excessive. Because we only need that, really, where everything combines. I have a horrible feeling we are going to burn a lot of uranium, rhodium dinaquidide during this. Which would kind of suck. Okay, so let's see. How many amps of ZPM are we getting from here? It was 72, right? On each side, there's 3 times 12, so 36 on each side. That does make it incredibly awkward. Because we have to use at least the 8x cables for that. So I guess we can run 2 lots of 8x cables, bring them down. So bring the 1x cables down here. Or it will be at this side, but... By the way, I have not planned any of this, by the way. This was just a kind of a thought I had last night. So, how this works out is going to remain to be seen. And especially with the transfer of it. So if we just make... Well, if we make 64 of these for now, we can always combine these into the higher tier ones if we need to. So it would be basically coming from there. Not there. Because these can hold 8 amps of ZPM, so... I'm really hoping I don't need to bother making things like transformers for this. Actually, while we're waiting, I am kind of curious how long these take. Oh, they're not running at the moment. Wait a minute. Where are we making the uranium rhodium dinaquidide? Oh, we're making it in the ABSs, not the EBFs. Been made in here. 38 seconds for... How much? 576. So 38 seconds for 4 ingots. I feel like we could speed that up by putting in 4 amp ZPM energy hatch in there. Yeah, anyway, this is these will come down here. And then continue down here. I really should have done this tried this in a creative world first. Especially since we can't really disconnect stuff until we're ready to start transferring it into there and moving it out of there. Anyway, right, that is... Oh, so each one of those is technically 6 amps. Well, it is 6 amps. It's not technically, it is 6 amps. And we want the... So we're going to want a cable... What are we going to need? Are we going to need the 8x cables here? Right. 6 times 6, 36. Yeah, of course. I might have to go into a creative world and test some stuff out here. Just to make sure I'm not going to burn any cables. Not that it's that big of a deal, but I can show you what I was looking at yesterday for testing why the reason why I was going to do this. I did kind of test this, but I didn't seem to be running into any problems, but we'll see. We'll do a kind of a proper test. Well, we will when we finally get into the world. There we go. Yeah, this is what I was testing it with yesterday. Basically, each of these are outputting like LUV power. These are outputting ZPM. This is essentially somewhat mimicking what we have in the other world. And each two on here, they're both doing the same thing. So those are outputting 18 amps of ZPM. These are all going into the uranium rhodium dinaquidide wire, which seems to be working just fine. Like, I was a little concerned about running it this way, like whether it was going to try and somehow push power back into, like, too many amps back into this cable from this center one, but it doesn't seem to. And basically what these are doing is running all of this power, 4 lots of 18 amps of ZPM and 4 LUV amps into here, and then I'm outputting 4 16 amp energy converters just into trash cans. The top one is running doing the entire thing via peer-to-peers, and the bottom one is doing just the outputs of these via peer-to-peers. And the top one's using 3.6 million FE. Using peer-to-peers. The bottom one is only using 1.68. So there is a considerable difference in power usage between the two. So I figured that's why I wanted to do that. But this is what I've been trying to do. And it seems there seems to be no issues with connecting cables from lower voltages into a higher voltage cable. Again, I was somewhat concerned. Wait, who said peer-to-peers didn't have power usage for the actual transfer? I mean, technically the transfer itself, you still get the same amount as you put in. You get the same amount out as you put in. But it uses like 5% of the power that you're transferring. It essentially takes from it needs to power the ME system. Yeah. Exactly. Which is why I'm trying to cut it out on one side of it. Because if you think about it, like when we're outputting power from the substation, we're not outputting the same amount as we're inputting. So we're never like outputting the whole amount. But when we're transferring power from the generators into the substation, when you transferring power into the substation, you're using 5% of everything that you're making. So if you're making 100 amps of ZPM, for example, you're going to be using 5 amps of. You're going to be wasting 5 amps of those on just power transfer. Which for the most part is fine. But I feel like once you get to this stage and once you get to have into a position where your power is in where it's going to stay and in a decent kind of spot and not going to have to move or anything like that, it's worth, provided you are near your substation, it's worth running cables to it, I think. It's not necessary, but I think it is worth it. I might have said differently yesterday, though, because I hadn't actually looked at the actual numbers. But it's quite a big difference, like 1.6 million compared to 3.6, so you're 2 million FE, or roughly 500,000 EU per tick you're using. But yeah, it seems like this should be fine. We shouldn't run into any issues with running cables from these. I'm assuming that these are going to essentially work the same way as anything else. Oh, actually, you know what? I've just realized. Of course it's going to be fine, because if I remember rightly, the way the power works with GregTech is The generators, I don't think the generators output power as such. It's the energy hatches and the machines that request the power. So they'll only kind of draw out of it and into the machines rather than pushing back into anywhere else. So as the whatever's kind of consuming the power requests it, it will... I've just opened the quest book, haven't I? It will essentially path just towards that. So you don't have to worry about it going down into like external cables or anything like that. I think that's the way it works. I'm hoping so. We'll find out if my cables start burning. And yeah, the other thing, I guess, with the higher the power tier you're currently at, the more power you have to store in your ME system. But the general gist of a lot of this is I am going to need a shitload of uranium rhodium dinaquidide. And probably signalum. But that's fine. That's not a big deal. At least it was relatively quick getting back in here. Okay, now more maths. So I could have this so we just have like the 8 amp cables and then transferring across there, then go into the 2 amp the 2x cables and then the 4 and go like that way, but it's just awkward.
Oh, I see.
We got 6, 12, 18.
Away, you yellow bastard!
Enjoy the lag larvae. Right. So we are going to need to do these cables for it though. 64 amp ones, which means that that's going to look really, really awkward. I would almost be tempted just to use other cabling in there, like the 2x and 4x cabling in there, just to kind of ease the transition a little bit. Or we could just do this trying to save as much in the way of cables as possible and do what I didn't want to do. So that will be 6, so there'd be like 6 amps there, and you could move that into there, and so these will transfer 16. So we could go... Wait, am I at the wrong height here? No, I'm at the right height. Yeah, I keep getting the same thing, and mine are same with both my EBFs and my ABSs. Right, so that would be... We're just going to make sure we don't have too many amps in these cables. So these can run 16, that's 6, 12. So once we get to this point, then we need to step them up to the 4x cables. It's going to look so weird. Right. I'm actually going to cancel these. I think. Do I want to cancel these? Because I might upgrade the ABSs. Yeah, I think I am going to cancel those. Right, what are these ones doing at the minute? They're doing more than molten uranium, rhodium, dinaquidides. Which... That's the osmiridium that we needed for the LUV hatch. Okay, right. That should cancel those. And I am going to make... two 4-amp ZPM energy hatches for these. And that way we can at least speed these up a little bit. Because we have more than enough power for it now. Right, I am going to make a bunch of those. How am I going to actually do all that? Like, how are we actually going to get this to transfer into here and then not be without power at any point? Because that's the really difficult bit, is trying to not be without power. Right, we're at the 4X cables now, aren't we? Right, so we go... So 6, 12, 18... 6, 12, 18, 24... Yeah, 6, 12, 18, 24... that will be 30... And then we can go to... No, not you. And we can go to there. And then we got to step up to the 8X cables. It does look kind of weird. I don't think so. Not that I know of, Guitar Lalum. It doesn't mean that there isn't a way. It's just that I don't know of one. What age am I in GTNH? I haven't been able to play as much recently. I'm just getting into HV at the moment. So not far in GTNH. Like I say, I haven't had a lot of time to play lately. Which has kind of sucked. Right, I got to move all of these as well, haven't I? I can see today being a very awkward day. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about the cut and paste gadget. If that works, then I guess that's your answer, Guitar Lord. Mm. I did wonder whether it was going to be easier just to use FE to transfer power and converters, but since the converters stop at like 16 amps, it's just going to be incredibly awkward. It would just be incredibly awkward to use those. If we could have had 64 amp converters would have been nice. Especially since they're getting rid of, or heavily nerfing at least, peer-to-peer in the next update. How many hours do I have so far on this running, Money? Good question. I'm not sure. Quite a few. 18.01 days currently. Oh, just a couple. We have been doing a lot of building, though. 6, 12, and then this will go up to... 4x. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. And then we should have to go up to the 8x at that point. Right, and then that's where we've got to. I'm wondering if it's... Right, is it going to be cheaper to run 8x cables all the way over to here? Or just run the 8x cables to there and then... Yeah, it's going to be cheaper to run... The quest line's reasonable. The quest line, for the most part, certainly early game, is pretty decent. Once you get to the late game stuff, it gets a little kind of weird in the way they've laid it out. But I genuinely couldn't think of a better way for them to do it. But honestly, it's pretty well laid out. No, for the most part, it is pretty well laid out. And if you do ever run into issues, there's always the Discord where I think for the most part they're fairly helpful. Right, so if we bring the 64 or the 16x cable along just down up to there, and then we'll find a way of bringing the rest up to meet that. Where is... There it is. All right, let's go and switch these out. For the minute, we got a... Not even sure what that's doing there. Could have gone ages ago. All right, let's get rid of that. And do that. So 4 amp ZPM hatch. And we'll do the same over here. Right, that should make the uranium rhodium dinacridide a little faster. So if we do another 256 of that. You like the amount of space you give yourself for cables? Copy that from you now instead of trying to cram it in a 2-block height area. Yeah, that's one thing I learned kind of a while back, just to make sure I leave plenty of space for cabling. That's why I always have like a maintenance floor in between each of my actual kind of machine floors. Like 9 times out of 10, like most of it doesn't get used. But it's always nice to have it there just in case. So like, you see down here, like most of this hasn't been used. But it gives us plenty, like with 3 blocks of space, you can have like 1 block along the ceiling to have cabling and you can always walk underneath it. And then if you got if you've got a shrink in the pack as well, then you don't need to worry too much anyway. You just shrink yourself down, but anyway, right. Let's see. Oh man, these are going to be so expensive. All right. But, right, where do we get to on this? Right, if we just bring, hang on, let me put that cable there. Ah, it's not the center, is it? Right, that's 16x. That can hold 128 amps. So if we put that into there, we can run... I think we are going to have to bring it 1 further back. Then we'll bring this cable along... I want it to be inside the chunk. If we bring it along from there... And then up to here, and then across, and then meet up with that. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And then we just got a little bit less that we need to have there. You know, I'm actually just going to make... Can I make 32 of these? No, not quite. Let's make 16 of them for now, then. And then we can always break them down to the smaller cables if we need to. That will go across there. Obviously, we do not have enough at the moment. One down. Typical. One short. Wait, that is the 16x, right? Yeah. So I've got 16x. Right, so... I can't imagine we're going to have any more than 128 amps of ZPM going into here before we get the UV input hatches. And those will probably come in from a different direction. Actually, what we can probably do... Since we know that we're going to have other inputs, if we just move the ZPM input 1 further over to here instead, that saves us like a cable. I swear to God, the night vision from these is really not very good. Right, and then we did need to bring that to there. Okay, right. So, then if we grab, say, I don't know, 30 of those. That's probably too many, but we will need the cables later anyway. Wait, did I need to craft anything for that? Yes. Oh, well, never mind. That might have been slightly too many. I can't color these cables with the color applicator, can I? No. That would have been nice. Right, so that will take care of the ZPM side of things. Hopefully. Again, not sure if it actually will or not. Okay. Right, since we have got that, we've got all these outputs here. We should have our LUV dynamo hatch as well. Why are you not? Oh, 'cause you haven't got an input yet, have you? That's why you're not forming. Cut and paste thing works? Nice. That's good to know, actually. I didn't know that was a thing. But that is good to know. Right, so we need EV output. That's going to be an input side. 141 outputs. Holy shit. Didn't realize I had quite so many. What about the IV? How many do we have on the IV? $98. Now, one thing I'm not sure about is like, am I ever going to get to a point where I might need to add more substation outputs on these? Right, hang on, have we got the LUV? Right, only 32 LUV outputs. And then that'll be ZPM, which only has 6 outputs. Right, so that's all set up and ready for when we start moving stuff into here. Okay, so how far are you from turning on? Oh, damn it. That was actually really awkward timing. This once this gets down to about 206.5 billion EU, everything will kick on, and I kind of want that to happen now, honestly. Because I want to wait till this is full before because once that's full, oh wait, once that's full, I'm going to need to make one more 64 amp energy hatch, aren't I? Because I'm going to need to leave one. Wait, no, I won't need to leave one in there because we're still going to have an energy hatch in there, like an input in there, aren't we? That'll be fine. That should be fine. Okay, we might have made slightly too much uranium. Rhodium dinaquidide then. Whoops. How are we doing for distilled water now? Okay, we're back to a decent amount of distilled water at least. That's good. I also need to go through and, like, I've got so many, like, random old machines that are probably never going to get used and just clogging up my ME system now. Yeah, there we go. That's turned on. Once this turns off again, I'll take out the 2 of the ZPM inputs and I'll hook all of this stuff up properly. Basically just get rid of this cable, that cable, and that cable, hook those up, and then do the same on the other side as well. And then we should be able to move the ZPM power over to here, and then still be able to output from there as it's moving over. I don't know. One thing I'm really not sure about is whether these capacitors, and if anybody knows, feel free to let me know. Like, I don't know whether these capacitors will hold their power when I move them. Because obviously we are going to move these ones over to there. Yeah, when everything's turned on, we're outputting 2 million EU. And about 500,000 of that is just the power tax from transferring from the generators to the substation. So it's going to be nice to not have to pay that now. I wouldn't trust doing the cut and paste with these. Plus, I don't think they'd work because they're... Oh, no, cut and paste does work on tile entities, doesn't it? Otherwise, it wouldn't have worked for the machines. Huh. I don't know. Maybe that'd work. I don't particularly want to... I'd, like, prefer not to do that if possible, but... So we need to wait till this gets... It's never going to get to actually full, but... The other bit I'm a little concerned about is moving over the peer-to-peer inputs. That shouldn't be an issue for a little while. Ah, there we go. Right, everything's turned off now. So, I need... This keyboard is really weird. By the way, for anyone who didn't see the Discord, my keyboard died earlier today. So I'm now using a crappy old thing. Right, so if we do that, that will now form. Now input that to there and that to there. I really hope this works. Otherwise, I've just really screwed things up. Okay, let's try and turn one of these on. That's working. I'm going to have to manually turn all these off again afterwards as well, I think. All right, so far so good. Nope, not even a small bada boom. Nothing is, nothing's burning either. So yeah, that is, got 6 amps going through there, then 12 amps, then up to 18 amps, 24, 30, 36. And that's still only got 36 amps going through because we haven't got the other side turned on, but it seems like it's going to work. So that is a good sign. So if I... Right, next thing... We need an advanced energy detector cover, which we already have one, thankfully. Right, so how did I set it up on the other one? So it's inverted and 95% and 85%. So inverted. Oh god. It's so weird having a keyboard. Have you kind of ever whenever you switch to a new keyboard, you ever kind of it always seems to take a while to get used to. Oh, this is going to be a little awkward again, isn't it? Because we also need to... Do I need to? I mean, we're going to be tearing these and these down. These don't matter anymore. These are going to be gotten rid of. Yeah, exactly. And it's this one's not. This one's literally a cheap, like Logitech wireless. It was a kind of a wireless keyboard and mouse combination thing that I had from before. I initially couldn't find the. I initially couldn't find the little kind of USB thing to actually connect it. Thankfully, I did. But this keyboard has been here for around about 7 years or so now. And I don't know how long the batteries are going to last, because I haven't got any others. Right, can I paste this? I can't paste this as an input, can I? Well, that still has... Oh, am I going to have to go through and redo everything? Thank you for the resub, 49 months. Can we get some love and hearts in chat? Oh dear. I broke things again. Oops. Oh, I know why I broke stuff. Oops. Okay. Shit. Hold on. Right. There we go. We've got you in there, Next to life. There you go. Thank you so much, Em. I am going to have to close that down. That sucks. Okay. Don't know if it'll help, but there's an advanced memory card that might solve what you need. The advanced memory cards might work for this, actually. It doesn't work for the multi-peer-to-peers, but it should potentially work for this. Although I don't know, because usually the problem is going to be that in regular peer-to-peers, you can only have one input. Whereas multi-peer-to-peers, you can have multiple. And since we've already got one input on here, this may or may not work. We'll see, though. Hopefully, it will. I never could quite get my head around this thing, though. Right, so... Bind to output, bind to input. Before binding the selected peer-to-peer and bind target, if output have their connections removed, the selected peer-to-peer becomes the output whilst the bind target... See, this is so confusing. Like, what... You know, it's going to be easier, I think, just to redo them all. Like, rather than trying to figure this out, because this is just going to end up with me not knowing what the fuck is going on. See, that's the input, but what am I... So that's bound to all those. Copy input to output, unbind, binds to output. So if I click that, what's that going to do? Right, so bind to inputs. Before binding the selected peer-to-peer and bind target, if output have their connections removed, the selected... yeah. I would like to figure that out at some point. I'm going to leave for now. I don't think I can do that, though. I don't think I can do that. I'm going to have to set them all to a new thing, aren't I? That shouldn't be too bad, though. It should be relatively easy to get to... through to all of these. Where is... Although we only want to set it on these ones to start with, don't we? Which these ones should be easy enough to do. And this should turn all of these on. I'm not hearing any explosions yet, so this is still a good sign. We are now getting... still only 36 amps through there. Nothing's coming through these yet. Have I? Oh, right, yeah. Nothing will be. Once again, I have missed a step. Right, now... 8 amps. Oh. Oh, did I not... something burnt. So that should be 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So that should be fine with the 4X. At that point... Well, apparently not. I'm a little confused. 6, 12, 18, 24 amps. Why do you keep burning? So that should only be... Why is there 40 amps going through... What on earth is going on here? There should be 36 amps coming through here. How is there 40 amps at one of those points? How was there 40 amps there a minute ago? I don't believe so. There we go. We've got the 72 amps going in there now, though, and nothing is burning, so I am going to consider that something of a success. Now, we do need to turn this off at a certain point, so let's make sure that's going to work. So if we set the minimum just down to 5% and the maximum to 10, and everything's turned off. As it should do. Beautiful. Right, so 95 and 85. Everything's back on again. Hopefully nothing is burning. So far, so good. It's kind of hard to tell down here because these cables are obviously black. And it's a lot of grey and lack of light down here. But that appears to be okay. Yeah, that appears to be fine. Right, okay, so that's that bit sorted out. Now we just got to move these over and connect those up. So these are going to be slightly different. We could actually just disconnect these entirely now. Because these are kind of making a fraction of what these are making. So it wouldn't matter if these weren't actually running. Hey, Quiet. How's it going? Anyway, right, so these are 1 amp of ZPM. So if we use ZPM superconductors... sorry, LUV superconductors for this. 12 amps on each side. I think I do need to do 6... 1 amp LUV dynamo hatches, though. Just so we can keep things consistent. Because these are 4 amp IVs. And these should all be 4 amp IVs as well. I'm okay, Quiet. Right, so we'll wait on those. While we're waiting on those... yeah, if we just do a shitload of signalum wire... of the 16x signalum cables, that's going to be significantly cheaper than doing... We're going to have, what, 1224 amps? The 4x indium tin barium cuprate wire, or is it? Is it going to be easier just to do the indium tin barium cuprate wire instead? Nah, we'll do signalum. We can keep it somewhat consistent with what's going on the other side as well, if we do that. Although I think we are going to need some more signalum. Oh, shit, I've not actually got signalum request craftable. What the hell? That's a little weird. But okay. We can fix that. I guess we've only ever really passively crafted it. So we need what? Well, everything's fine with that. Alright, and... Can I just... Oh, I could have just grabbed it down from there. Oh, maybe not. Hold on. We've just done that. We need 16x signalum cables. If we just get, say, 32 of those, we don't. Or 64 of those. Do we actually need to craft any more signalum for that? No. Well, we don't actually need that many right now, but... Right, so each one of these is going to be 16 amps. And there's going to be 2 lots of 16 amps going into here, so it will be... This is the bit that I'm really a little concerned about, whether it's going to work or not. And then we want this to come across here. And then down here. Over to there. Right, let's... So if we just use 2x cables from here downwards, we could use 1x going into the 2x ones, but I don't think it's going to matter too much with this. Oh my lord. I'm not doing very well at this whole placing blocks thing. Nice guitar, Owen. Hopefully you guys will have a good time. Right. Let's go to the other side as well. You shouldn't be able to see the back of this later on, by the way. So the fact that this looks a little ugly back here shouldn't be too much of an issue. Hopefully, anyway.
Oh, I see. Running away, you yellow bastard!
Alright, no worries, quiet. Hopefully school goes okay. Have fun. Or as much fun as you can. Okay. Do I just want to use 16x cable all the way along the bottom of here? I think I do. Although preferably in the right place. So yeah, if we do that. Wait, how many more do we need then? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 more. Let's do 12 just to be on the safe side. Riri, thank you for the hydrates. How are you doing? Okay. Aside from actually hooking these up, I think this is good. I will do one side first. And thank you for the posture check as well. Home and move EBFs another time. This is the final place. At the moment, you have to put them anywhere you can use it, but there's no, but they're not in the way. It's one thing I always struggle with is having like temporary setups. Like half the time they end up not being temporary because I just forget to move them. Right, let's also switch these out for the LUV. Right, if we switch those out, and then we need that. And I need shrink as well, so I can actually get in here. Where's my shrinking device? Oh, right, I remember where it is. It's in here, isn't it? My witty name, how you doing? Right, so we need you for now. Ah, hell, everything's off. And we're not draining anything either. Okay, let's see. Okay, that seems to be working okay. Only transferring 3 amps right now, which is fine. That's transferring 3 amps of LUV. It looks like it should be fine. Why did that shut all of them off when I switched one of them? Strange. Anyway, that seems to be okay. Let's get everything else hooked back up. Wait, no, I need LUV dynamo hatches, not... I should have 2 more of those. Oh, wait, no, I still need 2 more. Yeah, don't I? I needed 8, not 6. Okay, that should all be working okay. So say you had an 8x HV cable, would sending 9 amps of LV cause it to burn? No, shouldn't do. I mean, we can probably test it. Have I got my other 2 dynamo hatches yet? No. Now, I'm kind of curious as well, so once we've got finished setting this up, remind me then, and we'll have a look. Right. And we're going to have to set all of these onto the new redstone peer-to-peer channel. Oh, I haven't done the top set of them either, have I? So I've got to do all of these. So we now should only need the 2 ZPM inputs for now. Okay. I really hope I haven't screwed anything up here. Okay, so I think we can now break this all down. It doesn't look like it does keep it, so we have lost about 240 billion EU. But I think that's fine. Although we are going to have no power for a minute. And I probably want to grab the rest of these as well. How many additional layers have we got on here? Enough for 2 at the moment. So that will give us 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Right, so everything should have kicked on. It has. Nothing should be burning or missing. It's not. Although we're only transferring 6 amps of LUV through there. Why? Because those... Ah. Didn't redo these ones. Alright. Now we good. We should have 24 amps going through there. Still only 12 on each of them. Why? Oh yeah, it should only be 12 on each of them, shouldn't I? Shit, Of course it should only be 12 on each of them. There's 24 in total. Okay, no, it looks like we're good. Inputting 10.2 million EU and only using 440. Considering that was like 2 million before that we were using. They do look really cool, don't they? I agree. Although stacked on top of each other like that, they look a little weird. But there we go. That is that job done. I think. Honestly, I expected that to go way worse. Now, all we gotta do is tear these down, tear those down, and we are good to go. I've got to move the signs as well. Let's go move those first. So that is... set these up first. I'm running out of glowing sacks here. Right, so that is EV out. That is IV output. That is LUV output. And that is ZPM output. Okay. Oh, that's so much nicer to see than the 2 million or so from before. Right. We'll take this down now before I get caught up. We shouldn't need that bit anymore. And hopefully the things that are running on RF shouldn't change. We shouldn't need to change anything for those. Only 40 million RF, not much? Nah, it's practically nothing. It's enough. It is what it is. For now. But I'll be honest, that was a job I was not looking forward to doing. I expected it to go far, far worse than that. Alright, we need dirt to fill this in. I don't think I'm gonna tear those down yet. They shouldn't be doing anything for a while anyway. There we go. Oh yeah, I did, you're right. Thank you. Okay. We are good. 459 billion EU storage as well. I thought the EBF doesn't work with an input bus instead of the muffler. It's weird that, isn't it? Oh, right, yeah, thank you, Reese. Gotta think of the easiest way to do it. If we just say, let's just do it with not quite the the 9 amps into an 8 amp cable, but if we do 4 amps into a 1 amp cable, no, 4 amps into an 8 amp cable would be the, what are the HV superconductors anyway? The vibrant alloy, okay. Wait, 4 amps of LV should be 1 amp of MV. So if we do a 1 amp vibrant alloy cable, we're going to need something for this to go into. Should have a macerator. Well, actually, a macerator won't help. What have we got that's... right, I need to be somewhere where I'm near the laser network. There's a cable in the way. Right, if we just go here. Put that into there, and then vibrant alloy cable into there. I'm trying to think of the easiest way to do this, because it needs to draw... Something needs to draw the power. But then I'd have to make the batteries as well, and we haven't got the batteries. I'm trying to think what would use... I guess actually the easiest way to do this would be... What are you using? 1X cable? The easiest way to do this would be to do... this and get it to actually draw 4 amps of LV power. What have we got that's... I'm trying to think what I have that I have 4 of. Wire mills? Wire mills don't use a full amp, though. Electrolyzers? Electrolyzers usually do. Where are we? What do we need? Nothing. Ah, okay, maybe it does. So if it tries to pull more the... Yeah, so if it... Okay, that I honestly didn't expect that to happen. Interesting. There you go, there's your answer. So amperage matters regardless of how far above the kind of the voltage tier the cable is. There we go. All right. Well, I'm happy to help out, Reese. Anyway, that is that sorted. Those are what else did we want to do today? I need to get another fusion reactor crafting. So I would like to have 2 fusion reactors. I think with the fusion reactors, I think there is only 2 things with the Mark 1 that we really need. Europium. Don't need... I don't think we need helium plasma. What else? Uranium-235? I think we can get... I'm assuming we can get that from extracting from uranium-235... Well, uranium-233 as well, apparently. So yeah, we don't need that. Liquid osmium, I can't imagine we'd need, but... Making osmium with silver and copper is, like, considerably better. It's like, that's just cheap. So maybe we want one of those later, but we don't need one as such. But it's more stuff that we can only get from here, like geranium. We'd need one specifically for making geranium as well. So this is why we want 2 of them. I'm just hoping we don't need another one for just like random stuff. Hydrogen and vanadium for chromium. We can make radon. Actually, that might be a good one to set up once we get to the Mark IIs. Not that we're very struggling for radium. It's not so much free, it's not really free osmium as such, because you do need LUV power. You do need to be producing 24,578 EU per tick, which obviously we are. But, like, considerably more than that. I don't know, maybe we'll set one of those up as well, but we'll worry about that in a little while. For now, we mostly just want geranium and... wait, do we even need the geranium one? Like, the only thing I've used... Oh, yeah, we do for titanium, don't we? That's right. Yeah, I was going to say, the only thing we've used it for so far has been making the Naquita reactor. But we do need it for titanium, which is coming up very soon. So, yeah, we do need... Is that still going? What the hell's happened to that? Shouldn't need that recipe soon anyway, since it's going to be passive, but... How much europium do we have now? Oh, 55 buckets. Okay, that's fine. Okay, right. Anyway, we need another fusion reactor, is the general gist of it. So we can passive europium. Yeah, it probably is, but I haven't figured out how I'm going to design in that place yet, but it is not going to be the worst idea, you're right. I'm still, like, face planting things when I, Actually, we'll just put it there for now. All right, so there was something else I wanted to do, and I've just forgotten what it was. Oh, this. I wanted to passive this, because we're going to need, if we're going to be making passive europium, we're going to need a steady source of neodymium. And this will give us that. Like 32 monazite and 24 neodymium. It's going to mean having to craft a few more things like the copper cables, aluminium rings, aluminium rods, and steel rotors over at the area that we've been doing the microminers. But that's not a big deal. Like stainless steel, we're already making anyway. The power thrusters, like everything there is easily done. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then, is there anything else we actually need from any of this? Emeralds, maybe. No, we don't really need the emeralds either, do we? Okay. That's what Undine, Topaz, Sapphire. Definitely don't need that. Don't need that. Don't really need that. Sphalerite and tetrahedrite. Those are the ones we need for indium, right? Although I think we're getting indium from the Naquita processing anyway. Anyway, right, I'm getting sidetracked here. We're supposed to be making a fusion reactor, which these are still taking forever. The wafers, that is on our to-do list of getting those passived. It might be a time to, a good time to start looking at requesters. It's not overly difficult to make them now. And if we just set up a bunch of... is there any way you can set priorities for crafting CPUs? Like, can you get it so it prioritizes manual crafts? Because you can set these to either only for requests by players or only for requests by automation. Does anyone know if we can set a priority on these somehow? Also, I do need to do some more 64K crafting things. Because I was just wondering if, like, if I can set a priority on these for, like, player requested crafts, so it would always do those before the others. That would be nice. I think that's one of the reasons I don't really like using kind of requesters and crafting cards, because it kind of ties up a machine when you're not expecting it to, which kind of sucks. Anyway, what else do we need for our fusion reactor? A whole lot of stuff that's going to take a whole lot of time. Right, 31 fusion glass, 48 machine casings, and 4 superconducting coils. I've already forgotten those numbers. And I've already taken that off there. What was it again? 31 glass, 48 casings. What's that actually taking? Oh, even more uranium, rhodium dinaquidide. Yay. And then it was the 4 superconducting coils, which I think we've already switched over to the slightly better recipe. Right, so what else was it I was going to do? Oh, we still also need to make the macerator, don't we? It's outside area. I think it's like 15 by 15 by 15 on the outside. All right. I need to make a clean room chunk. I mean, you kind of can, if you do the chunks the way I do them, but unfortunately not in a 16 by 16. Are you... Yeah, now we're using 3 million, but at least that's not transferring into the thing. I'm paranoid that these are going to kind of start burning at some point. They seem to be fine so far, though. Anyway, right. What else can we sort out while we're waiting? What else do we still need to sort out? I still haven't picked up one of the... Or I still haven't made one of the advanced system on chips. I think the next thing we do actually need to focus on after we've got these passive fusion reactors going is going to be the circuits. Well, the circuits and getting a few of the bits and pieces from here moved into a new area, i.e. the request crafting area. Although the request crafting area is going to be a little bit awkward. And how much space we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So that will give us, that'll still give us like, oh, that'll, if I move this, because we've got to move this anyway. I think once we've done with the crafting, I will move this and I'll kind of shift it over to there, because we still need space for the macerator. Nakura enrichment line, like 8, or your Nakura despite level emitter. Did you forget? Did you do what I've done in the past and forget to invert something? That's what I usually end up doing. No? Right, I think what we're going to do is we're going to probably use this, like, over here, definitely, possibly down the center as well, all for circuit crafting stuff. And then we'll just have to move everything else we've got here elsewhere. Because there's a few bits here that are... Well, that's not needed anymore, is it? Oh, wait, what did we just finish? What just finished crafting? Something just finished crafting. I didn't see it, though. Wait. There was 3 in there a minute ago, and one's just disappeared. Oh, right. Because these are needed for the fusion reactor itself, and I think they're used for the casings. Are they not? Fusion machine casings. Yeah. Ah, there's the 4 that we needed. IV distillation tower is the worst. Wait, which? Oh, the parallel one. I was looking at that earlier, actually. I mean this thing, the fractionating distillery. Why is it the worst? Because I was considering making some of these. Because I think we could... We should be able to, if we did make them, we should be able to fit them into here. Hatches need to stay on the back. Yeah, the 5x5 bit is annoying. But thankfully, I think with these, we have got like 2 blocks of space either side of each of these, so we should be able to fit them in. And depending on how tall these bits are... Oh, those need to go all the way up. Ooh, that's awkward. Because this would end up pushing back like 2 blocks to here. Which I guess actually wouldn't be awful. No, I'm probably not going to bother, honestly. It's more like if we do need them for any of the oil processing stuff, because I know that later on we're going to need a ton of gene gasoline. It's whether we need it for that or not. Oh, I definitely want one of these. Oh, it's beautiful. Can we make that yet? No. Not even close. Yeah, 128, see what, and UHV power as well. Yeah, we're a little ways off that yet. Hey, Deadman. How you doing? Remember, you are like several versions behind, though, Hideyoshi. No, yeah, that's the Mega Alloy Blast Smelter. We've still got the Rotary Hearth Furnace. We've still got that. That's... We're going to be making at least one of those to go on top of there. And we're probably going to be making at least one of these as well. Have I got space for it? Yeah, we should do. How big's the Rotary Hearth Furnace again? It's like 15 blocks across, isn't it? That's what? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. No, it's only 13 blocks by the looks of it. 13 by 13. Yeah, it's only 13 by 13. And the floors in here, this is 15 blocks across. So it should fit in. I think, like, the bottom of it is... Yeah, it should fit in. These are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. And it'll probably come out to... Is that the center? No, that is. So... It'll probably come out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It will have to kind of overlap a little bit on the corner. I think, for what it normally would. But yeah, it'll fit. That's kind of like what I was intending to put up there from the very start. And if it didn't, if for some reason it didn't fit, the idea... Oh, I'm in the floor. Wait, where even am I? Oh, I'm not in the floor, I'm in the roof. Yeah, if it didn't fit in there, the other option would be to put them like either in like one there and one there, or if we end up having two of them. But that might be overkill. Anyway, how are we getting on with... I got the fusion glass. We got the fusion reactor. Now we're just waiting on the casings. Right, with the fusion reactor, we can use... We don't have to use... Do we have to use LUV or higher energy hatches? We do, don't we? So we're going to need 16 LUV energy hatches as well, then. Even though we're only going to be using one of them. What's taking the time for these, anyway? Uranium, rhodium, dinaquidide again. And we're also waiting on ruridit. Even though we were passiving ruridit, we're still needing more of it. Okay, there's a few other things we can upgrade while we're doing this as well. Because we are running very short on iridium. So, one of the things we want to do is upgrade this to at least IV. Are you right-clicking or left-clicking, Asanan? Yeah, we want to upgrade this to... I'll just upgrade it to IV for now, I think. Although trying to get the power up to that is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. Don't really want to use an IV converter. I'd rather bring... I guess I'd have to bring the ME cable up here. Yeah, I always get that confused as well. Like you always feel like it should be a right click, but it's not. It has to be a left click. Because it's kind of, it works the same, I guess, as taking items out of a drawer, for example. This is very awkward. Oh, come on. Let me in my hole. Okay. So that should be fine. Do we have our centrifuge yet? No, because we're probably waiting on something else. No, don't tell me the graphene dust is screwed again. Or is the mixer just used up by the Ruridits? Oh no, rhodium plated lumium palladium. I'm going to keep checking on this and making sure I'm not destroying anything. Well, we're not destroying anything. It's not running at the moment. But that's fine. Okay, cool. These shouldn't be on any... I'm trying to work out... Is that... That's... They're on, aren't they? Why are they... They shouldn't be on. They've literally got nowhere for the power to go. Well, let's stop feeding these diamonds. It feels weird to no longer have any numismatic dynamos running. Well, we won't do once they burn through the diamonds that are in them. Which will take a while, given that they're only running at 10% of their power usage at the moment. Okay. Oh, should shut off. So I guess I could just take the diamonds out, but it doesn't really matter too much. This is something I keep getting as well. I think there's something that, like, there's... When the world's loading in... I'll also be getting sugarcane on the top, apparently. When the world's loading in, I think if... The kind of... This is either fully grown or if something happens where it's already fully grown before the observer can properly register it, it just stops, because obviously there's no updates. It's weird. Alright. There's our centrifuge. We are in desperate need of more everything. Right, we haven't got any covers on any sides of this, have we? No, I should just be able to take that out of there. Replace that. Remove that, remove that. And we just need our IV outputs. There we go. Right. Let's sped that up a little bit. In fact, we can speed most of this up significantly. That's only running at IV at the moment. If this gets any downtime at all, that's fine. We don't need to... No, that's fine. We don't need to upgrade that. We just need to keep an eye on this for a while to see if anything backs up. Shouldn't do. Yeah, it's the first maintenance hatches are a pain. At least, like you say, though, the methods for fixing them are relatively cheap. Or at least polyethylene's relatively cheap. Right, hopefully that'll start getting us a little bit more iridium in. I think I only made like about a quarter of a stack of, or quarter to half a stack of tape before I needed the things. I've still got 14 left. I think I used too many of them. Probably should have done, honestly, but... Right, what are we actually waiting on now? Soldering alloy is crafting for the LUV hatches. Is it actually crafting, or is something somehow broken? No, it's actually crafting. Oh, no, it's not. It's crafting the rhodium-plated lumium palladium. Okay. What else was I gonna do? Actually, can't remember. We do need to get we do need to get this going, so let's start working on the stuff for that. Most of it should be easy enough. Just gonna mean adding to our wall up here, which we are rapidly running out of space for. But unfortunately, we haven't got the stuff that we need. I think, though, with the thrusters, there's a bunch of things we can use these for. Okay, there's actually really not that many. There's pretty much just the monazite ones that we need that for. Okay, never mind. But we do need that, though, so... what do we actually need to make that? And do we have any of it in that we're already crafting? I don't think so. Okay, right. Well, what do we need then? We need that and we need that. The stainless steel drill head's fine. We just need stainless steel plates. we're actually already... Oh, no, we need stainless steel double plates, don't we? No? No. Okay, we're already making stainless steel plates, so all we need is a forming press for that, then. So that will allow us to make the stainless steel drill head, since we already have the steel plates there. So we need storage bus. We need more covered cables. And cable anchors. Because aesthetics are important. And like that, we're going to need... What are we going to need? Interface. Have I really gone through all my interfaces again? Apparently so. Alright, we need a robot arm. And we need a filter. Ah, goddammit. Press the wrong thing. Okay, right. Import. You need those and those. Oh, there's my OEV energy hatches. Hey, we've got 4 of our fusion machine casings. Only about 30 odd to go. Actually, a few more than that, I think. And those should be EV. Right? Right. That should craft those until we have... Yeah, we'll stop at 16 of them. Right, now we just got to do the power thruster. Right, so for that, we're already making MV electric motors, but we'll have to make them available to the subnetwork. Then we just need aluminium rings, aluminium rods, steel rotors, and copper cable. I know we were making one cable type over here, but it was gold, so... Right, okay. Unfortunately, that is going to mean that we need 2 machines for that particular one. So we need the wire mill and we need the assembler. I kind of wish there was like an all-in-one thing you could use to make the cables just in one machine. That'd be nice. Wait, hang on, what am I searching in there for? We need wire mill. We need an assembler. Right, wire mill and assembler. Frame draw, and we need downgrades, or a downgrade at least. Right, how did I set this one up? How did I set this to shut off? Oh, right. The item detector. Okay, so we're going to need an item detector and machine controller. Can I just do it with, like, what's the regular item detector? Does that give me a... Oh, that gives me no control whatsoever. Okay, that's fine. All right, so I'll grab one of those. We need a machine controller. And I really should go on a break in a minute. And how do we set it up on here? That was set for just 16 normal output, and that is normal. Okay. Continuous default values less than the minimum output 0, values higher than the maximum output 15, values between minimum and max output between 0 and 15. Or output 15 until above max, then output 0 until below minimum. I think that's the way what we wanted it on, right? Haven't got it on that on there, but... Okay, maybe that's not what we wanted. Maybe we do just want it normal. Okay. That's fine. Right, we need copper cable. Let's just grab a few of those so we can set those in there. I still find it really weird that they show like that in the drawers. Hey Zidek, I hope you and Elfie are okay. And we need a filter. Wait, was I using... Did I want a silicon rubber or do we want to do it with styrene butadiene? How much styrene butadiene am I storing? Ah, plenty. Oh, I've also just realized I'm still small as well. Oh, wait, no, we'll do it with silicon rubber, just because we have that already available in this system. No, no, I'm not. Wait, what did I think I was still small? I have no idea. Alright, well, never mind. Right, and we want to keep exactly... 4 copper ingots in there. I'm going to assume that copper is not visible to this sub-network at the moment. Does not appear so. aluminium is, so that was the only other... oh, wait, aluminium and steel will be as well. And it's 1x cables we need, right? Yeah. Alright, and then we output you to the side. And you should have a downgrade in you, so... there we go, right. And then we are going to need to make sure this is linked to storage. Okay, that's part one. We now got to do just 3 extruders. Hopefully we don't have to do too much more in the way of passive stuff for this, because I have very much run out of space. I guess we can kind of start putting stuff at the top of this side as well, if we need to. Okay, and we need more framed drawers. And downgrades. I really need to go on a break. Keep forgetting. There we go. Alright, so let's get this set up first. We're going to need a few steel plates. I can find the actual steel plates. And we need the ring mold, we need the rod mold, and we need the rotor mold. Ring. Rod, and then what was the last one? Rotor. Am I right in thinking rotors only stack to 16? Yes, okay, good. Right, and these should all... those two should need aluminium, and the other ones should just need steel. Right, I still need a few more robot arms. And a few more filters. Alright. And... aluminium ingots. We are going to end up with 2 stacks of these stored, but that's fine. And then... it is rods and not long rods, right? Yeah. Okay, and then steel rotors. Okay, there we go. That should be everything we need. Just need to make sure everything is connected to there. And then we just need... it should just be an assembler, right? Oh, we need to make sure the MV motors are visible as well. Which they are. Wait, what were we using the MV motors for then? Not in those, not in there. Ah, in the basic drilling kit. Okay. Right, so this should just be assembler with no circuits. And then that should be good. That should be everything we need to passive this and start getting monazite. And then we just got to go and remember how I did the setups for the other ones. Right, we need an interface and we need a storage bus. Realize these are about the only external storage we have, pretty much, on our system now. Oh, except the few random drawers that are still left in the main kind of control room. Everything else is mostly gone. Right, we need... down there, we need more robot arms. And more filters. Right, let's do... that. And should only keep enough for one recipe in at any given time. Right, we don't need a circuit. Nope. And there we go. Right, that is everything needed for those. And we should have our fusion casings now as well. We might need a few more or less of those. I'm not sure. Anyway, right, that is now crafting those. I should stop at a stack. And I don't think anything is exploding on us. Or catching fire. Nope. We are good. All right, cool. Right, I'm going to go and take a short break. If you have been sat down for a little while yourselves, I do suggest you do the same thing. Just get up, wander around, use the bathroom, whatever you've got to do. Don't go too far, though, because I will be back in just a few minutes. So I'll see you guys then. All right, everybody, I'm back. Thank you all for sticking around during that break. I do appreciate it. All right. Where were we? Right, we've got our energy hatches, we've got our superconducting coils, we've got the machine casings, we've got the fusion glass, we've got the fusion reactor itself. We still need... How many input hatches do we need? I think we might finish this off tomorrow, by the way. I want to get this fusion reactor up and running before I do anything else. Right, okay, so... What do I need? Uh, 16 input hatches, 16 output hatches. And again, I don't think we need any more than LV or ULV. 12 more of those. Thankfully, we got a whole bunch of output hatches left over from when we switched over all of the these to the ME hatches. Speaking of which, do I want to just use an ME hatch for one of these? And at least one ME input hatch as well. Right, that should, I think, be everything. Right, and I was going to do these... I think I was going to do it in line with the lights. We might need to bunch them together more later on if we need more of these, but... Wait. What? Huh. Um... Well, that's not supposed to be like that. These are fusion reactors, Rufus. Why have we got the ring from the other one here? Why has it duplicated that? That's kind of weird. But okay. I guess it kind of helps in a way. Sort of. I am just going to manually put this together, by the way. Rather than trying to use the terminal. Oh, I've just realised that's facing the wrong way. Oh, we actually need a stocking input hatch, don't we? Just realised I've not even looked at the recipes for vibranium yet, or an obtanium. I think that was actually one of the things I really disliked about all the mods 10 so far. Is that they do push you towards specific resource generation methods. Like, they got rid of all of the seeds. I was not a huge fan of. So what is the actual recipe for it, then? Actually, those are going to need to face inwards, aren't they? No, I don't understand their decision to get rid of mystical agriculture. I mean, I guess I kind of do in the sense that it's been kind of overused. But it just kind of takes options away from people. Two uranoid geoshards, one uranium geoshard. What's the crystal tin ingot recipe like? I guess it's to gate it even further. Only thing I can think of. I think I'm going to be a little bit short on casings. Possibly... no, I think I've got... No, I think I should be good, actually. I think I should be fine. So a little bigger, 4 tall, 7 wide. Is it the same... Is it that recipe still? Yeah, it looks like it will be that recipe still, yeah. So it's the default recipe for it. Could be worse. I will have to say, though, it definitely does not feel like a challenge in any way anymore. Like the ATM packs. I mean, I know they're not supposed to be difficult as such, but they used to have a kind of a... I feel like they used to have a little bit more about them than they do now. And it just seems to be... It just seems to be kind of nerf after nerf with them as well. Where, like, they've nerfed the fusion reactors for a mechanism. They've nerfed... They completely got rid of the gas burning generators. They nerfed the thermogens as well. Building a Stargate? No, we're just building a fusion reactor. Nothing quite as not quite as interesting as a Stargate. Or at least I'm trying to build it. I have no idea if I'm actually going to get this correct by the time we're done. Hey, Pat, how you doing? Yeah, they certainly kind of removed it pretty much entirely from what I could tell, so... Just like all of the fun or interesting power gen options, they kind of either removed or heavily nerfed. Um, I have some glass left over. Why do I have some glass left over? Ah, one bit there. And I think we had one piece of glass left over anyway. I think that might be right. Oh no, never mind. There's only a bit of glass there. Hey, there we go. It formed. Yeah, I wouldn't go as far as to say it's OP. Like, it's OP for early game, absolutely. But it still only outputs, what, the 64X one? I've got two of them at the minute. They only output, like, 10,000 FE per tick. Oh, God, what have I done? Oh. I have no idea what just happened there. But apparently it kicked me out of the world. Like 10,000 really isn't a lot though. Certainly not as you progress through the pack. I'm assuming their intended method again is fission reactors with extreme reactors turbines. Not sure why I got kicked out of there then, but whatever, it's fine. Right, so we've got to go round and filter all of these for water. Okay, so one of these is going to be for geranium, one of them is going to be for europium. That's the thing, though. The fusion reactor is still nerfed, though. The fusion reactor can usually output 200 million RF per tick. So they've nerfed that as well. Okay, so we need... Get rid of you and you, although I think I'm gonna just move those inwards and probably do the same with these. Okay. So how are we going to do this bit? That's the next question. I think I actually want to move that over to the other side. Because what we want to do is have... because we're going to need to put... What are we going to need for geranium? What's the other... It's... gallium and radon. So we're going to need to have something to get to melt the gallium for the geranium and the neodymium for the europium. That has been done before, Rufus. Not in an ATM pack, as far as I'm aware, but it has been done before. No worries, quiet. You can do what you need to do. Right, so what I think we need to do, if we can have the extractor under there. Yeah, it was, like Al said, it's Sky Factory 4 it was done in, yeah. And this, is this finished now? Yeah, I still find it really weird that when this... if we just do 0.144 buckets of that. Give it a second. Yeah, the rings turn on both of them when one of them turns on. Kind of weird. But anyway, right, so we'll do... Doesn't matter which one. We do need a storage cell for both of these things. Oh, I think we've got them already, haven't we? There's geranium. And europium, yeah. We've got them both already. Okay, good. So what we're going to need to do is... Probably going to need to bring that under there as well. I'm going to have to reorganize this one. We'll do the europium on this one. We need threshold export bus on here. Oh, this is kind of awkward. I need another side of this that's going to be really ugly if I do that, though. Basically, the way we want this to work is we want this to be on a... We want this to turn off on one of two situations. Which actually, I think we can do a little easier. If we put that on the bottom of there, then the power on that side, we should be able to put a redstone card in this. Basically, we want this to shut off, to be exporting. Basically, when we want it to export. Oh no, I need a threshold. I'm going to need a threshold emitter, aren't I, as well? We want this to export when we have below a certain amount of europium in the system. Well, basically, we want it to turn on when we drop below a certain point and turn off once we get to another one. But we don't want it to be constantly turning off and on again. We want it to kind of batch craft it, because each time the fusion reactor turns on, if it's had time to cool down, it basically uses 150 million EU just to kickstart it. So what we need to do is basically say, craft europium up until a certain point, then stop, and then only start again once we've dropped below a certain point, so it will kind of craft a bunch of it at a time, so it doesn't waste EU just stopping and starting all the time. But we also want to shut this off if we don't have enough neodymium for whatever reason. So basically what we need is the threshold output bus. For the neodymium, although we don't want this to output just yet. Oh, it doesn't matter if it does, really, does it? Shouldn't matter too much. Where's my neodymium dust? There it is. So we want to make sure we keep, say... Hold on. 4,096 of these. So as long as there's over 4,096, it will output the neodymium dust. Nika, how you doing? And Squizzed as well. And then we're going to need a threshold emitter on there, and a redstone card in there. And we want to say active with a signal. And then if we grab europium and we say we keep 128 buckets of europium in stock at any given time, and then only start it up again when we drop below 100. So, right, emit when levels are below the limit. Why is that just not emitting at all? Oh, because I've gone the wrong way around. There we go. So, will that... How much have we got europium-wise in stock at the minute? 75 buckets. We could probably... Actually, we probably don't need to even worry about having an accelerator card on here. So wait. So this is emitting a redstone signal when it's below the limit, but which limit? The upper threshold or the lower threshold? If I set that to 75, that will turn off. We'll have to do some playing around with this to make sure this does what I want it to do. Because there's two limits here, like two thresholds. So we'll emit a redstone signal when it's above or equal to that limit, right? So we want that to be below. I think that's right. I think that should be right. We'll change that in a second to make sure. That needs hydrogen. Hopefully we should never be in a situation where we're using too much hydrogen. Okay, and then we need this. Please tell me, I'm going to need an IV extractor, aren't I? Oh, I can't do that, can I? I can't do it with neodymium dust. It's got to be neodymium ingots. So if we say that's 2048 instead and take those out of there. Okay, that's good. Although we want to turn that off for a minute. We don't want this to store 32 buckets of neodymium either. So what we might need to do is if we can set a get a fluid stocking, like a fluid detector card. Just so we're not, like 32 buckets of neodymium is quite a lot of neodymium. And we do not want to be storing that much in there. It's not the worst thing in the world, but... Oh, we've already got the advanced fluid detector. Wait, did I just put the normal fluid detector in there? I did. Do I not? Oh, I don't have the advanced fluid detector yet. That's why. I'm assuming that's in no circuit assembler, or the dual hatch assembler at least. Ah, I'm not sure. Oh, I need to rename that as well. That's... There's two ones here that I've not renamed. That's the LCR and that's the autoclave. Okay, so we only want it to... If we get it to store... Is this in... This is in millibuckets, right? If we get it to only store, say... 256 millibuckets... Toggle to invert the redstone. By default, the redstone stops emitting when less than the minimum millibuckets of fluid. I think we need to invert that. Actually, no. We might need to invert this. And have this run on, like, active without a signal. And then as soon as either of these have a, like, signal, it will stop importing. Yeah, that should work. We just need to keep that turned off for a minute. And we need... active without a signal. That needs to be inverted. Right. Should be on normal. By default, redstone stops emitting when less than the minimum millibuckets of fluid starts. Emitting when greater than the minimum millibuckets of fluid. The other thing is we want this to shut off as well when we don't want to put too much in there. Like, again, we can store 16 buckets in there, but we don't want to store 16 buckets in there. So I guess the easier way of doing that is going to be a regulator. So if we keep exactly... $16 millibuckets of neodymium in there. That should be fine. Although I want to grab a fluid tank and see if this is going to stop at the time I want it to. Basically, when it goes over 256 millibuckets, it should stop importing at that point. So perfect. And then if I were to take that out of there, that would keep importing until it got 256 millibuckets again, and then stop. Ah, stop. There we go, right. Okay, that should be good, I think. Hopefully. What on earth is this? This is a fusion reactor. It does look a lot like Stargate. You're not wrong. Right, so once that gets up to 160 million EU, yeah, we're using, one of them's going to be passiving europium, the other's going to be passiving geranium. Does this one... Yeah, this one activates the other one as well. And I really don't know why, because it shouldn't do. No, these don't produce power. These are producing, well, geranium and europium. Right, so how much europium have we got at the moment? We want to make sure this shuts off. Or the export of this shuts off. Yes, Reese, yeah. Right, well, 75.2. If we set this as the upper threshold as 76, and the lower threshold as, say, 70. Once we get to 76 buckets, which might take a while. Can I put fractions in this? Why is that emitting a signal now, is my next question. Because the upper threshold, we have definitely not gone over 75.5. Well, we have now, but... So that should just keep going through what's in here. Welcome back, life. If I take that out of there, I'll put 16 millibuckets in there. Let's just see if this... That's not going to output anymore until that drops below the well, the lower threshold, I guess. But we wanted to store 128 buckets. And if we set the lower threshold to 100 for now, and then change it back. Actually, no, the lower threshold will have to be 120, won't it? That should stay turned off until we go through all of that. And hopefully this should just keep producing europium for us until we either hit 128 buckets of europium or run out of neodymium or hydrogen, I guess. 26 cores for double EBF? Yes. 26 for double and 42 for a quad. All right, so hopefully that should be fine now. And that will just keep producing europium for us. Now, we just got to sort out the geranium. This is really confusing because it feels like this is turned on, but it's not. Right, we'll get the ME output hatch. And then that is going to need to be... Get rid of that. And then that needs to be filtered for water. So we never actually get any output from there. Uh-huh. Okay, and we basically got to do the same thing we did over this side, just for gallium. So we need peer-to-peer. We need a threshold emitter, and we need a threshold export bus. And we need a redstone card. And that was active without a signal. Oh, need a regulator too. And filter. Why do we want 2 threshold cards? Basically because we don't have, at least yet, until we finish setting up the microminer, we don't have a steady supply of neodymium. So basically, this will keep exporting until we drop below a certain point of neodymium. And this will also shut off if we have too much liquid neodymium in here. So if we have over 256 millibuckets, basically we don't want to have 32,000 liquid neodymium stuck in here. So we stop the export when we go over 256 millibuckets, and then we also stop it exporting when we have enough europium. So it's just multiple levels of it will stop outputting at various different times. It's just fail safes, basically. If we do the same as over here, it's 128 buckets and 120. No, not for the same material, no. And that was emit when above the levels. That is active without a signal. And then a fluid detector. It just saves us having, like, ending up with, like, 32,000 fluid neodymium in there for absolutely no reason. Because that is 222 ingots worth of neodymium, which could be used elsewhere. Right, how do we set that up on here again? So it's 255 and 256, and the output is normal. And this needs to output gallium. When we have over... If we just say 4,096, I don't know how much gallium we have at the moment, honestly. Oh, 42,000. Okay, we should be fine. Alright. Let's take those out for a second. Yeah, that shuts off, stops exporting at 288 millibuckets. Since it only uses 16 millibuckets anyway. We could actually also, really also do with one additional way of turning this off. And that is when we drop below a certain amount of radon. Because radon, we've only got 1,465 buckets of at the moment. Actually, now we should be able to speed up the Ender Air. Because at the minute we're only getting like one bucket every 200... one bucket every... I think it actually works out like 200 seconds how long it takes us to get this. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check. But at the most, we can get one bucket every 100 seconds. And the geranium uses 125 millibuckets in 3.2 seconds. So we're not making radon quickly enough at the moment. Once we get to the next tier of fusion reactors, we can make radon basically for free with liquid gold and mercury. Which we will be doing. But as of right now, I think we do need to speed that up, but I will also need to shut this off when we have, when we do not have enough radon left. Basically, we don't want to use up all the radon. So we should be able to do that. I'm assuming these also work with these. With that. And then just another emitter on there. Emit when levels are below... If we just say 2,000 buckets for now, just so that should shut off when we do that. It does not. Okay, why are you not shutting off? Oh, right. Yeah, I've got it the wrong way around. Yeah, never mind. Ignore me. There you go. Now it's turned off. Right, so if we want to make sure we always keep, say, 800 buckets of radon in there, we should be okay. The concerning bit here, though, is we don't... The last thing we want is this constantly turning off and on again. Which if we do run out of radon, it will do. So maybe we do want this on a threshold bus as well. Sorry, threshold emitter. Each time basically when these kickstart, when they've been off for a while, when they kickstart again and start kind of reacting again, they take a huge amount of power. So basically each time it starts, it will take 140 million EU. So we don't want this constantly going off and on again. Storage monitors, I think. Are those the ones you're after? Right, so go radon. So it will start when it's over 1,200 buckets and stop when it's below 1,000. So if I set that to now 1500, that should not be emitting. Limit when well, so no, it will emit when levels are above the limit and stop when they're below. So yeah, that'll turn it off. I think. I'm gonna set that to 12. And so emit when levels are above, so it'll emit a signal when it's above 1200, and then it'll stop emitting when it drops below 1000, and then only start emitting again once it gets over 1200. So I wish this told us exactly how much was in here. Not that it matters, because we can do this anyway, but I want to test this out, though. So if we set this to an upper threshold of 1400 and lower threshold of 1399, theoretically that should turn off when that drops below 1399 buckets. Let's see if it does. First things first, though, we need the regulator on there. And that should keep exactly 1600. And then that will get up to 1.6 million, or should be 1.4 million, I think. Oh, no, it's working anyway, isn't it? Geranium. Okay, so if we keep an eye on the radon. So when that drops... Oh. I really struggle for some reason with these... with the threshold level emitters, like when it's going to emit a signal. Anyway, that is... When that drops below 1460, this should shut off. Although that's going to take a while. If we say 1463... I don't think they had them in PO1, PO2. Or are you talking about level emitters in general, or threshold level emitters? Because I'm pretty sure these weren't a thing back in... they're not even a thing now in regular AE. Yeah, there's different ones. Like the regular level emitters, they will just either emit a signal when you're either over or below a single value. There's not like a threshold of them. Yeah, that's turned off now. Now that that's gone below 1,400 and... How much was it? 63. Now, if we wait for a minute or two... Although it's still going... Oh, that doesn't actually shut it off, does it? That doesn't actually stop it working. Ah, shit. Oh, that's kind of useless then. I think a regular ME input hatch is going to be better here. Yeah, I think a regular ME input hatch is going to be better. Right, we're going to need to rotate that in a second, but we want to put that on there first. Yeah, this shouldn't turn on again until we get to 1500. Or 1465 now, but... Oh, wait, that's not right, is it? That should be inverted, right? And we don't want to keep too much in there. Crap. Actually, what we can do is... find the geranium recipe and then do that. And then hopefully, yeah, 125 mil buckets. Okay. So how much have we got? So when this gets up to 1,461 buckets, which you should do at some point in the next 100 seconds, I think, that should turn on again. So it should start missing a signal once it gets over that upper threshold. Could be here a while. Yes, you do, unfortunately, Guitar Lilin. At least I've not found a way to do it without that. Come on. We just sat here, we're looking at a number. It's not even going up either. Becky, thank you for the hydrate and the posture check. Yeah, there we go. Oh, wait, we do need to double this, actually. Because this will only update every 5 seconds. And the recipe takes, what, 3.2? Yes, 3 point something. So we need to make sure we've got enough in there to cover 2 recipes, otherwise it will stop. There we go, that should be fine then. But if we do the lower threshold of 1,000, so if it drops below 1,024 buckets, and then we'll have the upper threshold of, so long as it's over, say 1,200, it'll keep outputting. There we go. We have geranium and europium coming in. Not overly quickly, but they are coming in. Can probably speed these up a little. Well, actually, we could probably speed these up now, in fairness, but... Nice, Asinum. What were you hoping to find, Guitar? What were you hoping to have, Guitar, then? Oh, we don't need those anymore. How are you doing anyway, Becky? There we go. Beautiful. Ah, okay. I mean, there's always item frames, I guess. Guitar Lilin. Hey, Mint, how you doing? But there we go. This is going to come in incredibly slowly, but it will come in consistently. Not Stargate Balls, no. They are fusion reactors. They do look a lot like Stargates, though. Ah, okay. The only other thing you could potentially do, and it's a little bit of an expensive way of doing it, I think, and I'm not even sure it would work, would be barrels. I think if we set this to... Oh, you can't do it in here, can you? You still need to have the item to display it in this. Like, this is one thing I don't understand why they've removed it. The ability to look at see EMI while you're in this screen, so you can't filter things without having the item, which is kind of annoying. I'm not even sure if this would work. Yeah, you can kind of show it like that. But it's not really an ideal way of doing it. And you still need the items now. That's kind of annoying. Like, does anybody know? Like, is this an option to not show JEI, EMI, whatever you want, whichever you want to call it, while in the barrels? Is that like was that a decision by them, or? I'm not sure. Doesn't really affect much for me, but it's kind of annoying. Anyway. Oh, I'm gonna have to move the power thing now, aren't I? This can now get moved. And we need dirt. And we'll set this up here. Beautiful. We're actually really not using a great deal of our power at the minute. Right, there was two things I needed to do, and I've just ran away from one of them. This is the This was the autoclave, right? Yeah. That's the autoclave, and that's the LCR. Those were the two that needed renaming. Need only 2 HV circuits. There is one silicon plate. Or for an MV circuit assembler, saving one converter on your machine area. Hey, any savings is a good. Any saving is a good one. Yeah, we're now only using 120,000, 110, 120,000 FE in there. Alright, no worries, Becky. But there we go. We have passive europium. We have passive geranium. Tomorrow, I think we need to start working on circuits. What are you doing? There we go. Right. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to need to start working on circuits and kind of basically redoing our entire circuits pipeline, I guess you'd call it. From LV all the way up to, well, as high as we can get them. If we can passive the circuits, even better. So that is the plan for tomorrow, I think. For now, though, I am going to call it a day. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I do massively appreciate it. Hopefully, I should be back around the same time tomorrow. Until then, though, have an amazing rest of your day, everybody, and I will see you all soon.